What's up, guys? Dave with Miracle Canine Training. So we haven't done one of these on-the-cuff Q&As in a while, so I wanted to sit down and discuss a question we got in on the Miracle page the other day. This question is from Lisa Koza. Lisa asks, hi, so a situation just happened with my 9-year-old Roddy. I had a photographer come to my house to take pics, in parentheses, selling it, and the real estate agent also came. Had my dog on leash, was in the back by my garage, and the photographer walks up along with the agent behind him. The photographer reaches his hand out to attempt to pet my dog, and my dog bit him. He drew blood on his finger, and it bled pretty quick. Should I have been a better dog parent and held him back? My dog looked like he was sniffing his hand only at first. The guy has a dog also and said, as long as he has his shots, I'm okay. But I feel terrible, and the cut looked deep. Rough situation, Lisa. So a couple things going on in my head as I'm reading this here. One thing that I have always done personally when I'm in a situation where I have any sort of worker, contractor, whatever, somebody that is outside of the realms of somebody that is actually at my house to socialize, is I keep my dogs away, right? This is for a couple of reasons. One, those people are not there to socialize with my dog, regardless of if they like dogs or want to interact with them or whatever. They're there to do a job, so they don't need the additional distraction of my dog present, and my dog does not have to be in a position to decide if those people are okay or not. And regardless of the level of control you have over your dog, in my opinion, it's the most respectful and safe thing to do to keep your dogs isolated somewhere else, whether in a crate, whether in another room where they're confined, whatever, right? Second part of the question is, if somebody were coming over to the house to, let's say, socialize and hang out, we wanted to have our dogs out and loose in those situations, we would have to do things a little bit differently. We're big proponents that on-leash greetings are one of the worst places you can interact with a dog, primarily because it's the most unnatural way that it can happen. There's never a time when in a normal social situation, a dog would be trapped within the confines of like 4 feet around a person. So when somebody's going to interact with them in that type of setting, that's essentially you invading your dog's space when they're trapped and don't have an alternative to get away if they start getting stressed out, which makes it much more likely for an aggressive outburst to happen. Tack onto that, you have a 9-year-old dog, you have a dog that might be easily irritated, you have a dog that might be a little bit more apprehensive of people depending on the level of training that you've done so far with them. It's kind of a recipe for disaster. So my process of if I am going to actually have people coming over the house to socialize is of a particular kind of sequence in which I introduce my dog to those people, and that does a couple of things. That one allows me to be in a position where I can establish the fact that you, the dog, do not need to worry about these people over here. And I do that by, as the people are coming to the house, I implement my training, right? So I'll put the dogs into a bed stay, I'll put them into a down stay, and I'll have a very clear means of enforcing those commands to make sure I get them into the right mindset. If my dog does break that position to go intervene or try to check out what those people are doing or whatever it is, and they get a consequence for them, that's me telling them, this is not appropriate for you to do right now. You need to focus back in on the task at hand. And it gets them out of this like, oh my God, I'm concerned about these people and need to go check them out state of mind. And it gets them into, I need to focus on my owner because they're gonna let me know what's expected of me and if there is actually something to be concerned about this. Once the people are in, I let my dogs hang out in that position for about 10 to 15 minutes, and I make sure that during the course of that time, I set the boundaries of you people are not allowed to mess with my dog in that situation. You shouldn't run into a scenario where without giving permission, you have random people coming up to your dog and trying to pet them, particularly when they're on a leash, because again, that increases the likelihood that you're gonna have some sort of incident with that. Once my dogs are calm on the bed, I've gotten them acclimated to the people there by using that bed stay. At that point, I would release them and have a more natural social experience where my dogs are able to move about freely, and if they get stressed out by those people, they can create space, give themselves distance, and I kind of instruct my guests at that point to let me know, or not to let me know, but I instruct them at that point to only interact with my dog if it looks like my dog actually wants it. So they're not gonna be chasing them around the house trying to pet them or cornering them to pet them or this or that. They could try to call them over. At that point, if the dog doesn't come over, they are not instructed to interact with them at that point. So that's my process of doing this. So First step, again, just reiterating, making sure that in situations when it's people that are not there to socialize, you put the dogs away and avoid this situation altogether. Because honestly, stuff like this is a lawsuit waiting to happen. It's a big risk, and this is how people get dogs put down over unnecessary things like this, is by running into these types of scenarios. Step 2 is when you actually have your dog interacting with other people, you do it in a particular way, and you read the room and you read your dog a little bit better to make sure stuff like this doesn't happen. Hope that helps. If you have any questions on it, feel free to send us a message.